Greetings and salutations.
This is the official greetings and salutations.
Here we are from the luxury of the new studio setup that we're using to record. And how do you feel about it?
You know, I'm proud. I feel good. I feel that we came up with a plan and we actioned it really quick.
Yeah.
And we're here now. And I think
really quick. What do you mean really quick?
Well,
as quickly as we could. As quickly as we could, taking into account all the other stuff happening in life.
We were booked for last week. Then I got really sick. So yeah, but I do think, all our loyal listeners and everyone that's been screaming for this for a long period of time, they're going to be quite relieved.
There's a lot of benefits to us using this studio now because it books us in a time that we can actually come here. We can make time for it every week or every fortnight or however often it is. And we come here with intention, with purpose. We're focused on just this. If we do it at your place or at the gym, we're a bit fucking...
People don't fucking realize how much effort goes into like just doing the podcast.
But it's creating an environment where we're not distracted. Do you know what I mean? We can focus on just the podcast. You know, no one's coming and knocking on the door or, you know, we haven't got to rush off and do anything because we've blocked out time specifically for this so we can give it the respect that it deserves.
And you know what? I think we've nearly done close to 100 episodes, and it took us 100 episodes to get to the point where we're like, all right, now it's worthy enough.
But I feel like we've graduated, but I feel like, you know, when someone, you know, a podcast just starts out and they try and hit the ground running with a massive production straight away and they've got like 2 views.
And then it just
who the fuck are you?
Yeah, people start and they just want to, and I've realized a lot of people just want to interview a million people. Like their podcast.
Get this person on who has this many followers because they'll bring more exposure to me. I don't actually care about them. I just want to get more listeners for my podcast and I want to become famous.
The whole thing is dependent on other people, like who we've booked in for this month and that month. Whereas with us, it's just like we just catch up and
talk shit.
We talk absolute shit.
That's like our sound man today. What are you guys talking about? I don't know.
What are we doing today? It's like, it just works.
We're just going to try and not get cancelled from being allowed to use this facility anymore.
Man, but look, I think our last episode was probably about maybe 6-7 weeks ago. Lots happened in that 6 or 7 weeks. Every time we chat, it's funny because every time we chat now, in my head, I'm like, oh no, just pause, just leave this for the podcast. Because the other day when we're chatting,
I know.
The other day we're chatting about where your prep is at and where, and you know, how far out from the show you are. And we're just like, no, I'll put a pause on it. We'll chat about it. So update the listeners on where you're at. I'm sure they want to know. Everyone fucking froths where you're at with your prep.
Yeah.
People love it. Where's Mike at with his prep?
I'm at the part where if I imagine hard enough, a piece of chicken tastes like a salt and vinegar chip. I'm at the part where French's mustard, American mustard, tastes like a Big Mac. Like that's the part that I'm at. And it's like 11 weeks and 4 days. But
when you're in that point where your prep food in your head, you convince yourself it tastes like good food. When you're convinced that, it's like
you know what though, bro? Honestly, like not talking shit or trying to be virtuous or sound like I'm above anyone or anything, but I truly enjoy the prep food more than any other food. Like I had a test the other night, so it was Andrew's birthday. So obviously I want to take her out for dinner. But I didn't want to eat off the plan. So I spoke to Dean about it and he gave me some guidelines to stick within. And I wasn't nervous about it because like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out. I'm going to enjoy it. I want her to have a good night. That's the focus of the night. Went to Tanuki in Double Bay.
Oh, nice. It was Japanese place. That's easy to eat when you're on the plane.
Japanese, baby please. And like in preps gone by, and I'm sure you've had this too, you know the cheat meal's coming. The anxiety builds in the lead up to the cheat meal. You give yourself, I would give myself a time that I could start eating. I could start eating at like 4 in the afternoon or something, and I would push that up until 11:59 p.m. before I would stop eating. And the whole emotional roller coaster that you go up in the lead up to it, and the unhealthy relationship that you develop with food, and how you feel the next day, your guts is ruined, everything's just fucked, and you're not in control. But this time. Now I'm in control. I'm the captain of this ship. I fucking say where we're going. And I said to myself, I'll eat 10 pieces of nigiri. I'll eat 100 grams of wagyu. I'll have a little bit of dessert. And that's what I did. And there was a convenience store next to it. And like
the temptation to go get like a Maxi Bon or something.
Bro, like 6 Maxi Bons.
It's never one.
And I was like, And then I just thought, no, because I'm the captain of this ship. I'm in control. And you know what? To add to that, with the pursuit that I'm on at the moment, you know, I need to be a professional before I become a professional. So it's about conducting myself professionally and not being immature in relation to food and using the food for the intended purpose. And at the same time, like I said earlier, I fucking love the food. The food I eat is amazing. Yeah, I might be a little bit hungry. I'm still like 4,600 calories.
That's fucked that you're on 4,600 calories. But
on a high day.
But you were, what did your calories get up to? Like close to 8,000 at one point.
I'm pretty sure it was like around 8,500 at one point, or it was above 8,000 at one point.
Man, speaking about cheat meals, I've probably said this story on the podcast, but as we said yesterday, now that we've got a professional production, for me, this is
all stories have not been told.
Nothing's been told.
We're going to be telling the story about the banjo cord being snapped again.
Everything's going to be. Every story has been the circumcision at 15 years old.
The archives are cleared out.
The archives are clear.
The swollen testicle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, bro, don't get me started. Anyway, I remember on the cheat meal topic, my first prep. I was on obviously a keto diet because I was too much of a lard ball at the start. So we decided the only way we're going to get in shape is if we drop carbs completely.
Just fat and Greek.
So hairy, so fat, and on so much gear. And then so much gear.
Just leaking out of your eyeballs. I was on smelling like gear.
I was on, and then before you know it, we got to the point where cardio got to the point where it was 3 hours a day because I was still a fat blob. Cardio was at like 3 hours. I was on literally probably like 1,500 calories from just literally protein and greens. It wasn't even a keto diet because I wasn't even on any fats. Yeah. It was just fish and greens. It wasn't keto.
This is a real like pre-2016.
This was 2016.
Diet. Yeah,
this is 2016. Yeah. So the thing is, I'm saying this here because I want people to realize this isn't how you should do it. This is a crash diet. And I remember my coach at the time, we said, you get 1 hour a week to eat what you want.
Oh, dude, that's so dangerous.
It's the most dangerous thing. So you've got someone now that's starving, done the first bodybuilding prep. I don't know these feelings. All I knew was eating burgers.
You know what logically about that doesn't make sense though? So in that 1 hour, how many calories do you reckon you put away? Like realistically, how many do you think you put away?
Oof, it'd be 2,500 probably.
And were you still losing weight each week?
I was, yeah.
So why then would you put that 2,500 calories into 1 hour of one day rather than space out across all your meals?
I look at that now and I think that was the stupidest thing I ever did. What it did though, it did teach me how far I could push my body and how far I could push my mind. So in preps afterwards,
you've got to have that prep.
You got to have it.
That one where you just suffer. That one where you just fucking suffer.
I nearly got hit by cars on my morning cardio because I didn't know where I was.
Bro, like, I've had times where I've been walking along the road, the footpath, and I feel like my brain was just a computer from the 80s and it just turned off.
Full malfunction.
I remember last prep, I remember going home one night and saying to Angelica, I'm not sleeping in the bed tonight. She's like, where are you going to sleep? The couch? I was like, no, the floor. She's like, why? I was like, cause.
I'm a cyborg. I have to make this harder.
Got to sleep on the
floor. During this feeding window, I consumed so much food at the time. I was just eating. We had like a banquet at home. I was like, I'm just going to get every single piece of food that I love. I'm going to put it all on the table. I'm just going to eat until I felt sick. I didn't understand what it was to eat.
What did you eat though?
Pizzas, burgers,
just pure
chips,
bullshit.
Garlic bread. No, I had a very strategic plan. I was like, I'm going to go and get garlic bread from this place. I'm going to get pizza from this place. So all my dreams I was going to bring together and think I was going to feel good. So I went and picked up all this food, put the timer on like an idiot, and then I'd eat. And then I got to the point where I just had a moment where I just got really like a cold flush came over me, where I felt like my stomach and brain were on two different. Like my brain was thinking eat, and
fit in more,
and my stomach goes,
bro, we're full here, no vacancy.
And then I just got up and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go. And my safe place is the toilet. Every time, as a dude, girls don't get it. When we feel shit, we just go sit on the toilet. I just sit there.
I have finished many Nintendo Switch games sitting on the toilet for far longer than I need to sit.
I just sit on the toilet until my feet go numb, and I just feel like I'm in a safe place.
Dude, you stand up and you've got two gigantic red marks on your quads, and you've just got pins and needles all down your leg.
I've had to Google times where I thought I've had like vascular disease because my foot's gone numb for a period of time after I've been sitting there for so long. I'm like, am I going to get my foot back? Because I'm trying to beat Mario Kart levels as well. But in this time, I sat on the toilet and I was just like, I just sat there because I didn't know I was going to vomit or shit. And I was like, oh man, this is the worst feeling ever. So then I just like took my shirt off because I was sweating. So I'm sitting there, this naked mess on the toilet thinking that
Whose house are you at?
these cheat meals is at one of my ex-girlfriend's house. So I'm sitting there naked on the toilet. People are like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, I'm good. Yeah, it's all good. And then my body just got to the point where it's like, nah. And I just vomited everything in the sink. It was like projectile. And I knew there was a problem, or I had a problem at this point, because I think I've told you this before. There was a piece of salami in there that hadn't been chewed. It was whole. It was a whole piece of salami, and I must have eaten it like a pelican. Like I would have just inhaled the salami.
Oh.
Like, what was salami going to benefit me 8 weeks out from bodybuilding comp?
Everything. Salami, that was the difference between winning and losing, between living and dying.
What was I doing?
How'd you look at the show?
Honestly, I looked good. I looked as good as I could have looked. I looked way better the next year.
Yeah.
Because I had an off season that was structured. I had to get all that puppy fat off. You know, that first you don't hold a lot of fat. Like, it's just, you know, if you're holding weight, it doesn't tend to be held in certain areas. But I'm a wog, man. I'm Greek. We hold fat.
Mine's probably all just around my organs, just waiting to kill me.
Yeah, but that's fine. As long as you
look good while you're alive.
You look good. Doesn't matter. Forget about the organ fat. I'll eat one bit out of my diet and the fat will go straight to my abs, and they just disappear. So for me, I had to get rid of that early fat.
Yeah.
And it took that level. Probably not. I didn't need to go that hard, but anyway.
Man, I remember the first season I competed as a natural teenager.
You showed me that the other week, the photo.
Yeah, I posted it.
You look good.
I posted it. But yeah, I looked good, but not a week later. Like, pardon me, never put on so much weight so fast in my life. And like you were saying, I'm usually someone that, and I'm pretty lean all the time, bro. I was like fat for like the only time ever in my life.
What's the most amount of weight you've put on after a show?
Oh, dude, that was like 20 kilos in a week.
Fuck yeah.
That was like 20 kilos in a week. And my ankles were just stumps. And because my testosterone level would have been like -6 because I was natural and I was a teenager. My balls just dropped pretty much.
And then, fuck.
And I remember just, bro, the insatiable desire to consume food was unrelenting.
Isn't it amazing that you once you have a little bit, you just keep going, and your body, and you think you're empty. You think you can just keep eating. Your body doesn't stop
until you vomit, and then honestly, you've got no issue with continuing to eat. 'Cause that was what I would do. I would vomit. They don't make Starburst lows anymore. I don't know why.
They don't make Starburst.
They don't make it anymore. Well, you can't buy it. I don't know if they make it there in different countries,
serious?
but you can't buy them from the shops. Go try and buy some Starburst lollies. There you go.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Shocking. Because they're better than everything else. They're the best by far. But
I love Starburst.
I would eat like all night. I would wake up in the middle of the night, vomit. Oh, yes, a bit more room. And then I would start eating another packet of Starburst lollies.
This is a food psychologist's worst nightmare.
Oh, dude.
But it's good because I show you how bad this stuff is.
Yeah, and look, it took like I feel like I'm really in control of my relationship with food now, but I've had all those fuck ups, and I'm sure a lot of guys that have competed for the first time or only competed for a few times, everyone's experienced some form of disgusting obsession with food. But it's not good for you long term. It makes you feel like shit. It's preventing you from making progress. It's stopping you from conducting yourself like a professional. So what I recommend is post-show is a period that I believe to be potentially more difficult than the actual lead up to the show. So having a plan in place of what you're going to do with your food after, having the plan ready to go, getting familiar with it so you can get stuck back into it. And that might look like an increase of 1,000 calories from X, Y, and Z sources just to satiate yourself a little bit so you're not starving. But mentally preparing yourself so that when you feel those cravings coming on, recognize it as a craving and allow it to pass rather than allowing it to continue knocking on your brain like, bro, just fucking eat it.
Even more off the back of that, would you recommend, like, this is what people do. They just go straight into a prep. Like, they think they've had this, I've been bulking for 5 years, I've got to go into a prep. Would you even say that period of a kind of a pre-prep bulk, like I'm not really bulk, kind of like a build phase where they can actually build their food up adequately without junk and shit and work, like just let their body get used to putting on a decent amount of muscle and then starting your prep? I find that that's a bit more beneficial as opposed to just saying, let's just drop food and you start to develop those cravings. It's almost like the bodybuilding prep has to start before that.
Well and truly.
You need to have an off season before you start prep.
And then also too, like I've had this in the past, and this is probably the first time that it's been any different for me. So just being fully transparent with it, like in the past, leading up to a show, it's always been tunnel vision on that show, and I can't see anything past that date. All I can see is up to that date, and I feel like only being able to see up to that particular date You feel like nothing matters after that anyway. So the thing that I've come to realize for myself is there is still more bodybuilding to be done after that period. And that's a period of time to get very healthy and to make a lot of progress. And the only way that you're going to do that is by transitioning successfully into an off season through your food consumption. So preparing myself for that mentally, being aware, but also being excited for it too. Because obviously as much as I want to compete, I can't wait. Also can't wait to get stuck into the next off season because there's only so much food that you actually need to grow before you start accumulating body fat. You don't need as much food as you actually think. So if you can slowly build that up with your body fat levels being relatively low, of course you can put on some, but there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to maintain really pleasing, healthy, functional, fucking awesome looking body composition in an off season.
Man, off the back of that, I'm just thinking of a gross story that happened after that first show because it's all hitting me now. I'm like, did that even happen? I remember eating so much food and obviously your metabolism adapts to what you give it. If you give it 1,500 calories a day and you walk for 3 hours, it's pretty fast, that metabolism. Like it's not getting a lot. And then you start introducing, you go from 1,500 calories walking 3 hours a day to eating 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day, not doing any cardio. Of course not. The body processes rapidly. It doesn't know what's going on. So I literally gave myself hemorrhoids the first time in my life.
Oh, sick.
Because if you think about it, how many times you've gone from shitting once a day because you're eating like a few fillets of fucking wet fish. Now, it's always wet because it's always in Tupperware. Nothing's worse than you just had wet, sloppy fish with asparagus.
Bro, nothing more disgusting. Like nothing made me feel more ashamed of myself than being that guy that goes to the movies to watch Godzilla and just whips out his fucking barramundi with the asparagus and everyone's, it's the premiere of the movie. Cunts are eating popcorn and fucking choc tops and you're just sitting there with your bass fillet.
Someone's got Maltesers and you've got this wet, slimy.
The amount of times I've done that, like, but there's chili flakes on it. Mate, the chili flakes aren't helping.
Good. It's good. It tastes nice. It doesn't taste nice. It's fucking
And all you can do in that moment is just like pull your shorts up a little bit and just look down at the light hitting your leg vascularity. So it's penis. Like,
and you know what the thing is? What's it called? Is it like when the oil and the juices like coagulate and they become like an oil flap at the bottom
like
of
jelly.
Yeah, it's like jelly. It's like fish jelly.
Fuck.
The fish jelly at the bottom.
Sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah, so you're literally sleeping with the fishes, eating fish jelly, and now you've introduced like burgers, chips, and all that shit. You're shitting once a day. Now your body's shitting 5, 6, 7 times a day, and it's just processing rapidly. The pressure around your asshole.
Oh, bro.
The veins. It's something burst. So I went from I was like, what is going on here? And this is all for people to realize.
Did you say that a vein bursted?
Well, that's what a hemorrhoid is. It's a vein.
Oh, it's a bursted vein.
Yeah, it's a vein. The vein, it's an internal, it's like you got your anus veins. You can have an internal hemorrhoid or an external hemorrhoid where the vein actually protrudes. I didn't have an external hemorrhoid. It's fucking gross. Mine was internal. You
had like one of those when they gape.
And no, prolapse. Not the prolapse. That's when the prolapse porno. That's the shit that people used to like, hey, check this out, bro.
Oh, bro. And like you got that prolapse and some dude just licking the prolapse thing.
There's always some dude that's jerking
some
off.
sick fuck.
He's jerking off over the prolapse.
Oh,
like,
dude.
What are you doing?
Why, mate?
At what point?
What happened to you?
When did you recognize that you liked the prolapse?
That's when you've started in too many porn films that like you've hit a new level of depravity. Like,
yeah, that's when like your audience wants more. It's like, yeah, no, this doesn't do anything for us anymore. We need more.
Yeah, I'm not subscribing to your Patreon unless
I need her ass to fall out.
Oh.
It's like yuck. Anyway, so yes, it would probably count as like a micro prolapse on that level.
Well, speaking of veins, I had a vascular. I think it's called an endovascular ablation. Would that be the right term? Endovascular?
Endovascular.
Endovascular. So I've had a varicose vein.
Yeah, that's external vein.
It's an external vein, yeah. So endovascular ablation on a varicose vein down the back of my right leg about 3 weeks ago now, which is like good to get it done now because I could have waited till after the prep, but I'd never had any issues with varicose vein. Never had any issues. My mum had one. She always used to make a joke that I inherited it from her. And to her knowledge, it was always just that it's just a cosmetic thing. You know, like when your parents say something to your kid, you just believe them forever. For some reason, that knowledge is imprinted in your brain. Like if they told you orange are actually called mangoes when you were 5, you'd always believe that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a fucking mango, it's an orange. But yeah, she told me that there was no, like only ever a cosmetic thing. There's no actual issues in relation to it. But there hadn't been until I got to 150 kilos. And when I spent a few months at 150 kilos, my theory is, and it makes perfect sense, that it just put that added pressure on it, that it started to have a few issues. Because varicose veins, and you probably know this better than me with your medical background, they don't have any valves on them to push the blood in a particular direction. So the blood just sort of pools there. Yeah. And that can lead to bruising, it can lead to ulcers, it can lead to gangrene, you can have all sorts of issues with it. And the vein specialist that I spoke to, she let me know, like, you know, if you're just a fat cunt and you didn't move around, this could have turned a lot worse a lot sooner. It's only because you exercise as much as you do that it's pushed blood through it. And she goes, look, it's not urgent that it comes out, but it probably needs to come out this year. And I was like, well, I'm getting ready for a show. I may as well just fucking do it now.
Better to do it now than it something arise 2 weeks out.
Oh, dude, can you imagine? So got it dealt with, and the process, fucking shoved my leg full of needles. They put a cannula in the vein. They shove an instrument up it that's 400 degrees, burn off the access point to the blood so no blood can flow into it. That also meant that I had to take 2 weeks off training my lower body, because if you generate significant blood flow, it can reopen the blood supply. Yeah. And it was a pretty expensive procedure to get done. Plus, I don't want to be, I want to be healthy and get everyone done with. So I was stoked to get that done. But it's interesting, like, so the blood supply gets cut off, the vein stays in there, but your body just materializes the tissue. So it just absorbs the vein tissue and redirects it to your penis. Yeah. No, if I
gives you that extra vein on the dorsal shaft.
Yeah, so I did that and fucking had 2 weeks off training legs and, you know, did my head in over that. I was like, oh, I'm getting flat, I'm getting this. Oh no.
How much of a head fuck is it?
Oh, it's not even bad.
You're not going to lose muscle tissue.
No, like I feel like when you are, like, because I'm pretty lean at the moment, I personally feel like, and again, this might be maybe doing my head in because I'm in prep mode at the moment, but I was like, oh, my legs are definitely a bit flat at the moment. But this fullness, I feel, started to come back. So I've started to get some sessions. Once you actually
speak it out loud, you realize it's dumb what you're saying.
Like, I know.
Because in your head, you're like, oh, man, I'm losing this, I'm losing that. Like, I was sick for 2 weeks. And, of course, I'm going to feel a bit flatter. But in my head, I'm like, well, how else are you going to feel? What else am I, like, what?
You didn't train.
I didn't fucking train. I barely ate. Like,
And also at that time, it's important to recognize the priority isn't looking like fucking Marcus Rule. The priority is to get healthy.
Yeah, 100%.
And then go back to looking like Marcus Rule.
Well, the best thing, then just casually go back to looking like Marcus Rule.
No worries.
I love Marcus Rule. So some of his videos have been popping up lately, and I saw. Did you see the one that popped up of him doing Smith machine shoulder press?
Well, probably I've seen it before.
And he was doing like 2 degrees range of motion. It was like George from the gym, like the worst thing I've ever seen.
1,000 plates.
But then I'm just looking at it and I go, why would I question him?
No, he can't.
Why would I ever question him?
He has the authority. He's the alpha and omega.
He has the authority with the size of himself. So he could do whatever he wanted, but no one can challenge what he has to say.
It's so funny, like you could have so much education and science behind you, but if someone goes, bro, my arms are way bigger than yours, shut up.
That's
like
the science.
Like, kind of is. It kind of is.
Man, you know what? Speaking of, all this research in the last, fucking Instagram's just become such a cesspool of people trying to like regurgitate papers. Like they're trying to look at evidence. And part of my uni degree, literally the whole uni degree was interpreting data. That's all it fucking was. Because, you know, you're not going to do something unless there's data to support it. So anyway, all this new data is now coming out to support that the place we build the most muscle is in the lengthened position. So when the muscles are
everyone's obsessed with the lengthened range partials at the moment.
Everyone's obsessed with lengthened range positions. And in my head, I'm like, it's taken all you fucking idiots all this time, all these research, all these resources and this research to show that performing a proper repetition builds muscle.
Yeah.
It's literally taken so...
But aren't they saying it's in the lengthened range, it's lengthened range partials? Is that what the study says?
What they're saying is, they're saying that at the lengthened range of a bicep curl to the mid-range, lengthened to mid-range, and that's the point where you're going to be most advantageous to building muscle. And then other articles have suggested this only occurs in like the newbies in the first, 1 year of training or some shit. I don't know. But early on in your training. And then other people are saying, yeah, but it's across the board, it's the best way to train. It makes sense if you're going to load the muscle in the length. That's where it's the hardest part of the movement. So if you're loading that part, it's better. But I just don't understand how it took this long and this much research and all this for people to recognize. Just do a repetition.
Bro, Tom Platz was doing that. Tom Platz was doing that back when he was a Mr. Olympia competitor. If you remember the video of him doing lying hamstring curls,
It was moving like this.
So he does a set of full range reps to failure and then continues going until the weight is literally moving a centimeter. It looks like he's just got a Bella Danger under him and he's just trying to move as best as he can.
I love how our listeners would know who a Bella Danger is.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, the lengthened range partials is great, but is it that, or is it the fact that he pushed himself truly to failure?
Yeah.
And I like for me, I think of it logically, it's the fact that you're going, there might be studies to support that the lengthened range is more beneficial, but if you're controlling an eccentric, you're also strengthening the ligaments and tendons. If you're going to that point that you are getting forced reps in the form of length and range partials, it would make sense to me that you're going to build muscle because you're pushing the muscle to a level of fatigue that's going to force a response. The only time, with that, I would still put parameters around it where you might only do it for the final set of an exercise, and it might be in a position, that in an off-season scenario where you can afford to accumulate that extra level of fatigue, because any less than probably 6 to 0 weeks out, you don't want to be accumulating more fatigue in the muscle than you need to because you don't have the calories to support it.
Well, like for me now, there's always been an emphasis with me in spending as much time, whether you're pausing or even just a slight moment where you've got control of the weight in the lengthened position. That's what I've always say. If you're doing a lat pull down, just let it go to the full extension within good posture and just feel that muscle really, as opposed to swinging and generating momentum. I've always had that in my mind. That's one of the earliest lessons that
keep the tension where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Keep the tension where it's effective and specific.
Sometimes you just got to listen to bodybuilders. Bodybuilders have been doing it a very long time.
Dude, you know who was saying all this shit before it came out? John Meadows.
Yeah.
John Meadows was preaching all this shit long before any of these studies were revealed. And I remember he used to have a podcast hosted by RX Muscle called Blue Collar Muscle.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
remember that.
I remember the first prep I ever did, just listening to that all the time, catching trains to work here, there, whatever, and just listening to Blue Collar Muscle. And I got so many of the principles that I apply to my training now from actually listening to that podcast.
He was ahead of his
back then.
time, John Meadows.
Massively ahead of his time.
He was ahead of his time, and a lot of his data was actually from training.
Yeah.
And actually pushing the muscle.
Anecdotal.
Because if you got, like, I mentioned this on my Insta the other day. If you got a sample study of people that they're generating this data from, most of the people, they're not actually going out and getting Mike Pearsons and fucking Josh Lenardowicz. They're going out and they're getting fucking Joe from the coffee shop.
Yeah.
They're not actually getting trained athletes. How can you control what that person's eating?
That person just needs to lift a weight and they're going to grow.
Correct. And what they're doing is they're not actually, like my mum was in a clinical trial for ACL rehab. Is my mum the perfect candidate for that? She's a general population person. Am I going to take all the data from that? Probably not, because she's not someone that's training 4 or 5 days a week, which is what's applicable to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
You got to get your patient population needs to be of a certain level for that.
They've got to be within a certain pool of criteria.
Well, how many of them are enhanced? How many of these people that they're generating data from are actually
how many
enhanced
times?
athletes?
I mean, have you ever had any big injuries or anything like that you need to see a specialist for that you haven't been able to do with yourself?
Oh, I've been able to manage all my injuries.
Yeah,
luckily.
So I've had points where I might have had injuries.
That's how I met you.
Yeah.
You're mismanaged by an idiot.
Yeah. And all people that I know, and that they'll be on gear, on growth hormone, everything, and the response, wow, I've never seen someone heal this fast. I've never seen someone heal this fast before in my life. And it's amazing.
But that's funny because there isn't any data to show you've got enhanced people and non-enhanced people. That is a big difference. Like whether we like it or not, that's a massive, you've got the testosterone of a Brahma bull. It's different.
T-bol, turinabol, was the first steroid created purely for athletic performance.
Really?
Yeah.
Because all the other ones are clinical.
Yeah, burns victims or AIDS or fucking whatever else.
Imagine the AIDS population during the 80s, the medication that they were given was abused by bodybuilders to build muscle.
I know.
That's
what's no different to Ozempic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People, from people that clinically need it to now girls just trying to get lean for their hen's party.
Yeah.
It's just bodybuilder.
Just God bless the world. The world
vanity takes over.
Bro, the world is such a wide and wonderful place, and no one needs to agree on things, and no one needs to have the same opinion, and that is completely fine.
People just want to look good.
Just fucking do what makes you happy, as long as it's not hurting anyone else, or just do what makes you happy.
As long as you're not on the lap pull down when I need
I saw the best quote the other day. I'm going to read it. I'm going to pull it up.
We should ask some questions, actually. We should answer some questions. We've been slack with the questions, but now
Thankfully, we've had some...
we have had some questions.
the loyal listeners have come through.
Say that quote and then we'll rip into some of these.
I reckon this is such a fucking good quote. Don't worry about siding for or against the majority. Worry about taking up any of their irrational beliefs.
Cancelling out. Yeah, cancelling
Worry about taking up any of their irrational beliefs, because just use, we won't get into it, but think of left wing, right wing. You can see irrational beliefs on both sides. And while you might have a predisposition to favor one side more, does that mean you're going to lean into all those irrational beliefs of the people on that side or the other side? Like, just
you can take parts of each and create your own.
You can take parts of each and create your own. Just relax. Just take a breath. Don't be so fucking extreme.
All right. Okay. Now to pick the least.
Just hit it hard. What do you got?
Hit it hard. All right. Well, I've actually got good questions there, but I'll go to the anonymous questions because I've got some terrible ones here.
Oh, they're going to be ruthless.
I've got some shockers here.
The anons.
Oh, yuck.
Do you want to start?
Fuck. Let me start. This is horrendous.
Oh, it's going to be one of these ones.
I thought we'd start off with something gross.
Yeah, why not?
I didn't get that many. I actually got some really good questions, but this is a terrible one. Would you rather down a shot of your dog's snot or your father's jizz?
Dog's snot for sure.
Yeah, I know. Why would I even...
Dog's snot. That's not even close.
Why would you even...
Dog's snot for sure. Dude, you don't have dogs. I've got 2 dogs.
You got petite, beautiful little dogs.
No,
imagine it was a fucking one of the... What's a Great Dane?
But the point I'm going to make is, just by having those dogs, you do not realize how much of their bodily fluids or anything
They're probably on
they
you
come into
already.
contact with you at all times anyway.
You don't need to be
You've
near
got
your
no
dad.
choice, bro.
You don't need to be near your dad's
You've got
jizz
no
at
choice, man.
At any point. You don't need to be
You don't need to be near your dad's jizz, lad.
That's
Just relax, guys.
Yes, there's no doubt.
This is the one for you. I felt this was directed at you because I felt this is a trigger warning for Mr. X. Saunas and ice baths for recovery, yes or no?
Stupid.
Why?
Dumb.
Give a reason.
Well,
Can't just say that. Validate it.
It's been shown or proven now
Dr.
that...
Rhonda Patrick on the Joe Rogan podcast says heat shock proteins.
This is the thing. Data can be biased to show someone's, if they're trying to push an agenda or push their beliefs onto you. I can find data to support anything I want. I can create data to support anything I want. I can do my own clinical trial and say...
You can manipulate it.
I can manipulate anything. But, right now in sports science, the science is suggesting that not the application of ice on injury isn't assisting with promoting healing.
It reduces the inflammation where you want to increase the inflammation.
We want inflammation because the inflammation internally in the right area around an injury is to heal. And if we think we can outsmart the body with healing, the body can heal some pretty amazing things. So if we think by putting it in a little chamber of ice, it's going to stimulate something. Look, there'll be other factors, white blood cells, all these things. Yeah, great. But when we're talking about injury management and rehabilitation, I don't see the application in my field. Maybe sensory aspects
What if they're talking about just recovery from training?
Look, what would that look like though? What are we trying to recover from training? What does recovery from training actually look like?
My theory on it, regardless of all the science, would be if it makes that particular individual feel relaxed and it makes them feel happy, go for it.
And I was actually going to say, I like infrared sauna. I feel good when I have an infrared sauna. I don't do it to recover and do it to stimulate anything. I actually just do it because it feels nice, a challenge.
You like it?
I just genuinely like it. And I think just saying you like something is sometimes good enough.
Of course.
That's all you don't need to sit here and think, oh my God, it's going to help my lactic acid and this, that. Just say you enjoy it and you can add it into your program.
If you feel comfortable doing it, if it makes you feel relaxed, if it brings you a bit of peace, it allows you to de-stress, those are all good things.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes there's more data to be conducted on certain things. I might be sitting here in 5 years and say, actually, there's been some more data on ice baths that's actually shown these benefits. We don't know. I just don't want to sit my nuts in a fucking ice bath.
It's horrible, man.
I don't know where my balls will be by the end of it.
If I'm going to do that, and I've done it before, it's purely in competition with someone else to see who can last longer. It's not about, oh, this is so good for me, man. It's just...
I feel there's a lot of other things.
You know what it is? It's one of those fucking things that like men's support group, we're meeting down at the ice baths.
It's a bunch of dudes that got mental health problems. It's a bunch of dudes that's wives have left them.
Yes, unfortunately. Sorry, boys.
Sorry, boys. You drop one over the line there. Your missus is...
Just get on a massive cycle instead and they'll be flocking to you.
The pool dude that comes around and changes the filter once a month is absolutely spraying your missus.
Oh,
it's
you
over.
slack bastard.
Spraying your missus.
Slack bastard.
He is, and you know what? He's coming around every week to change the pool filter.
And he's not doing a single
And you're
ice
like,
bath.
mate, didn't you change the filter last week?
Oh, it's a bit clogged up with smashing your wife.
And before you know it, you're like, so then that's the guy doing the ice baths.
Yeah.
That's the poor.
He's the one pulling up early to the fucking recovery center at 3:30 in the morning with all the boys.
He's just getting used to social media, so he's putting up like a really random story or something that doesn't
He
make
does
sense.
breath work as well. He does breath work.
He has to do breath work. If he doesn't do breath work, he's like,
what's the point of the ice
The
bath?
boys like, mate, what do you mean you don't fucking do breath work?
Come on, we've got to sit around and discuss our problems.
Your missus cheated on you. You got to do breath work.
Number one cure.
All right, next question. All right. What should the diet look like on the day of a powerlifting meet?
Oh, this is one for you, bro.
Yeah. Powerlifting. Okay, so powerlifting. We don't want to be eating too much food on the day of a powerlifting comp because you can imagine, like, say on the days you've lifted your absolute heaviest, the last thing you want to be doing before going under a heavy amount of weight or deadlifting is having a gut full of food. So on the day, it's generally things that have the same amount of like caloric value. So I've seen a lot of athletes that have like gummy bears or jelly snakes because 2 jelly snakes are like 70 calories. You know, you may as well eat a few of those. You still want to get good quality food in a big breakfast, a big dinner the night before. Make sure your glycogen stores are full.
Why wouldn't you just eat the same as what you normally eat?
Well, what happens, you don't normally do squat, bench, deadlift on the same day.
That's true.
And you don't normally train for 6 hours. A meet can go for 6 hours. I would say on that day, hydration is key.
If I could add one thing, I was gonna say you're going to want muscle to perform and contract correctly, which is gonna take adequate electrolyte balance.
I think I've seen, and I've prepped maybe, I don't know, quite a few athletes on a powerlifting day. By the deadlift, everyone's cramping up.
Yeah.
So you need to ensure that you're not just drinking prior to deadlift, you're literally electrolytes throughout the day. And just having simple foods, rice cakes, jam, similar to what you have backstage at a bodybuilding show. Things that are easily digestible, but I would recommend having a large breakfast and a large dinner the night before to make sure your glycogen's full. And then on the day, just snack as you go.
And just run on pure adrenaline.
Run on pure adrenaline and run on pure...
adrenaline and caffeine.
Adrenaline, caffeine, and hopefully just pray to God the attendants stay on the bone. I've seen a double quadricep detachment in front of my eyes at a powerlifting comp.
Does that come from above the knee or below the knee?
It's the quadricep tendon above the knee.
Oh
man! And the guy had
at the same time
both under the weight.
How much weight was it? Do you remember?
400 kgs.
Oh,
it was so
God
horrendous.
did not love that man.
And you know what the thing was? God bless that dude, because 1 year later he came back. He wasn't the same. He didn't use knee wraps. He just wanted to prove to himself he could get back to squatting, and he squatted 300 in sleeves.
Don't you just love psychopaths?
That
Don't you
guy-
just love athletes, competitive athletes that are just built different? Like, man, competitive athletes with that mindset, they are the motherfuckers back in medieval times that have been riding on horseback with maces, just bludgeoning cunts to death and just taking over towns because they're the ones that have that psycho in them.
Absolute nut job to have two. Do you know what it would be like to have knee wraps wrapped 10 times and then your knee just goes beneath you, rips tendon off the bone, and you're still got the knee wrap on you? Like to get that knee wrap would just need it was anyway. It was pretty gruesome. But not the funny thing, but the weird thing is that once he did that then the next person has to squat. It's like, all right, next person out.
Oh, dude,
bar is loaded.
But that oh, great.
Oh, great.
That's that. But like thinking of that from a competitive aspect, it's like that's when you have to really be able to block everything out and focus on just what you're doing. It's like people ask me all the time, they're like, "Oh, is anyone going to beat you this year? Is that going to happen?" I'm not worried about any of that. All I'm focused on is just ticking the boxes every day. I've got daily tasks that need to be required in order to get the result that I want. I just focus on doing the best job as possible of ticking those boxes each day, and they will accumulate across weeks, across months to that result. And I'm not focused on the result. I'm just focused on the daily task and just loving the process.
That's all that matters because that's all you can control.
It's all you can fucking control.
You can't
like, what's the point of stressing out about, this person's going to be that person? I don't care. It makes no difference. It makes no difference to the quality of execution that I have for my daily tasks.
If you start thinking about what could happen or who could be there or what your competitors are doing, then you take away. That's energy that you're seeping out.
You're not at that point. You're not competing for yourself. You're competing for everyone else.
Yeah.
Where I'm doing this for myself. What's your thoughts on blast and cruise? Do it. My thoughts are it's good.
Everyone gets there.
Yeah.
We all get to blast and cruise.
You get to the point where it's like, come off.
We get to the point where coming off is actually, it can deteriorate your health for a period of time. It's quite there's a period where you're like, I have to be off for an extended period of time here to warrant my body coming back and kicking over. Or like, how long are you going to be off for? Because you may as well just take a lower dose to keep within normal healthy parameters.
What I would recommend would be having a coach that truly understands blood work, having them be able to monitor it, submitting it to them as often as they request it, and based on where your blood markers are, determine whether you're using X, Y, and Z or not using X, Y, and Z, whether you're using more or using less. But if the health markers are good, keep going. But if they're not, bring them back down into range until things become good again. So it's, you would like, I think that's what I do, blast and cruise. I'm not coming off ever, like ever. Refuse.
Not ever, like ever.
Ever.
I just had to that last ever.
Like ever, just to really put the emphasis on it.
It's not happening.
But in saying that, I get my blood work done as often as required. And if there's any metrics that are ever skewed, I do what needs to be to rectify them so that I can still have longevity.
I've probably got like 3 sperm cells right now. What do you reckon you got?
Oh, dude. I don't know. I just feel like I've got enough houso in me from coming from a housing commission that I'll be able to get my missus pregnant whenever I want. It's like I've just got that houso gene, that reproductive.
Something will just it'll just happen.
I'll be able to pull it off. Like, I'm not going to be one of these fancy people from the eastern suburbs that do IVF. No. Mate, this is houso blood right here. I can fucking get anyone pregnant.
One of my seeds will find a way.
Somehow. Just like cockroaches, bro. They just won't die.
They'll just find a way. That's fucked. Do we answer that question? Cruise and blast? Yeah, we did.
I feel like that was an adequate answer.
Is there any reason besides cost why you dose GH 5 days on, 2 off?
Who the fuck does that?
I know, that's what we did when we had no money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. If you could take the 7 days, take the 7 days.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me to change these, like to have so many variables. I like to do things consistently. It's not about what you do once or twice. It's about what you do consistently. Same thing with your diet.
It's when you're paying like $1,500 for a kit, then you do that.
Yeah. If you're budgeting out, yeah, maybe do it that way.
Just to span it out over a longer period of time.
Consistency is key. There was an example that I had, but it's just floated off into the fucking stratosphere.
Take GH daily.
Daily. Fresh Oracle. Daily. How do I achieve full power every day? Great question. Great question. So full power every day, it's essentially become the slogan for pump juice and transparent supplements. Like Nike has just do it. Transparent has full power every day. And how you achieve full power every day is just not being a bitch. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that you have to be going like 100% David Goggins all the time, because we know that's not realistic. But it's just about taking the necessary action to move forward. Sometimes it might mean not feeling like something, but you're not always going to feel like anything. It might just mean taking your emotions along for the ride with you while you do what it is that's required of you that needs to be done. It's just about taking the necessary action to move forwards, whether that's a small thing, whether it's a big thing, whether it seems like it's pointless. Like, because the thing that I don't want to convey is that, like, you got to fucking get after it. Stay hard, motherfucker. Because it's not realistic.
Stay hard.
Like, David Goggins has probably had 17 divorces from just living that way. Do you know what I mean?
David, I can't keep up with you.
Yeah.
Stay hard.
Yeah, but you don't understand.
I've got to stay hard all the time.
You can't do that all the time.
Sometimes you got to have a stiffy that's not facing the ceiling.
You got to have
one that's
chub.
a bit lazy. One that's like you got to massage it back in every now and then.
Smash with a floppy.
Yeah, you got to massage it back in. Sometimes it just bends on impact. Like, sometimes it's like. Other times you go, I'm full power today.
Full power.
When I'm full power, it's like it's.
But it's just, your battery, your limit for full power might be different each day. So as long as you're reaching that limit of full power for that day, that's how you maintain.
Sometimes it depends how full your cup is. You got to have. If your cup is full before the day starts, full power is going to be a bit harder to attain.
Yeah, but so you just work within your confines of the day, but just be smart about it and just fucking set yourself up so that there's minimal issues.
I like it. What's this? How important is sleep? Is sleeping 6 hours and training that bad? I'm a dad.
Well, I would say it depends on how you feel. I would definitely look into having a sleep study conducted just so that you can try and maximize the quality of sleep that you do get.
We both use CPAP.
We both use a CPAP, which is a constant air pressure. What's it for?
Continuous.
Continuous pressurized
airway pressure,
something
I forgot.
Yeah, but essentially it just prevents you from dying. It just makes
continuous positive airway pressure.
You're constantly getting oxygen supplied to your body overnight, and you want a good quality of oxygen supplied to your body overnight so that you have a good sleep.
You don't want your airways closing and snoring, which we were doing.
No, and that prevents the amount of oxygen that you get in your blood, and the next day you can wake up feeling like absolute shit if you haven't had a good quality of sleep. So 6 hours, like, it's not amazing, but if that's the best that you can get, because like the thing is, it's hard for us to talk in the situation because we're not dads.
No.
So we're like, mate, you got to get fucking 8 hours or you're not growing. But we don't know what it's like to be a dad. So do the best you can. Get 6 hours, but if 6 hours is all that you can get, I would look into things like magnesium, maybe a sleep product to ensure that you're getting a deeper quality of sleep that you are getting. Just try and maximize the quality of sleep.
And even sneak in a 30-minute, close your eyes for 30 minutes during the day if you can.
If you can.
That always helps.
But everyone's circumstance is different. So as long as you know you're doing the best you can, bro, respect, push through. When you do get tired, you might have to fucking full power it every day, David Goggins style. But just do the best you can. 7 or 8 would be better. I get 7. Minimum 7. 7's the minimum I'm willing to accept. So 6 isn't too far off that. So you're doing a lot better than some people.
Yeah, I'm 8. I get 8 usually, but I don't wake up. I don't have an alarm when I wake up. I just wake up when my body wakes up.
Bro, I don't have an alarm either. It's just, I wake up, I check my sleep app to see how long I've been asleep for. And if it says 7, I'm getting up.
Yeah.
I just fucking can't stay in bed any longer than that.
Yeah,
I just want to get up and train. It's up to me.
Your question?
Can anyone beat Mike Pearson season C? Like, any chance at all?
No.
Not worried about it. Yeah, someone could. Yeah, anyone could. You never know what could happen, but I'm not worried about it. I'm just focused on doing what I can each day.
Well, you don't know. Like, what are you going to put energy towards something about someone you don't know? You just
couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, just
couldn't give a fuck. Just focus on doing what I've got to do.
When taking GH, do you split doses or bang it in or before bed? Why not?
I've done split dose before, but I just find that it makes me tired throughout the day if I do it in the morning. So lately I've just been banging it all before bed.
Do you do it before bed?
Yeah.
I do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
But my reason was because, you tell me, everyone says around the times when you're eating and fasting and all that.
I don't think any of that matters.
Yeah, I don't think it does as well, but I've always been in the habit of when I wake up, I take the GH, go for a walk. By the time I get back, it's been about an hour and a half. I eat. That's just the mindset. But I think a lot of that doesn't
apply.
Yeah. So,
but look, there's definitely more benefit. Like, it depends on the reason you're using the GH. So if you're using it to burn fat, the way you're doing it is good. If you're doing it to build muscle, it doesn't matter if you eat.
It wouldn't matter.
No.
Baruz or Bonac, who you got?
Didn't they go against each other already? Didn't they versed each other? Didn't they?
Yeah.
Already?
Didn't Bonac beat him? But who would you have had?
I would have gone Baruz for sure. Bonac just looked a bit tired. Didn't look as good as he previously did, and I think that he's still great. Don't get me wrong, but I think that for a promoter, having William Bonac win your show, it's a big name to win your show. And he's been around for a while, like he's got the respect. But I just think Baruz had such a more pleasing physique to look at. So much wider across the shoulders.
I think Bonac does look, he'll get a bit exposed when he comes up against a fully lined up like an Olympia stage full of athletes because his body is a bit.
But his highest placing at Olympia is 3rd.
In 2014,
I can't remember.
Yeah, he looked good, man.
He's been 3rd at Olympia.
And he's mid-40s, isn't he?
He always looks amazing. But I just think Baruz is the next generation.
He represents where the physiques are kind of going.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is funny because the top 2 at Mr. Olympia right now, they're 212 Mr. Olympias. Like, they're not. Hardy and what's his name? They're not. They're not open. They originated in like 212. And they're not that heavy.
No.
Which is crazy because they're just 2 little nuggets that are competing against each other.
Little dense brick shit houses.
I
know. What's his name? Alex Pereira versus John Bones Jones. Who's winning?
Who would you have? I don't know as much. I do keep an eye on the UFC. I don't know as much as you do, obviously. But I do know they're 2 of the all-time greats.
So everyone's talking about Alex Pereira going up and fighting at heavyweight at the moment because he just defended the belt at light heavyweight. So he's been a middleweight champion. current light heavyweight champion. And if he goes up and fights for a title,
What's the weight between light heavyweight and heavyweight? What's how much weight?
205 to, I think he can't be over 265 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
It's from 205 to 265.
Yeah, but you can't be over 265.
But that's like most. I'm
There's
guessing.
a lot. There's 60 pounds. There's like 30 kilos there.
Far out.
So it's a lot. It's like John Bones Jones is such a well-rounded fighter in all aspects of the game, where Alex Pereira is a striker. But the benefit he has is every fight starts on the feet. But then again, John Bones Jones is so good at doing whatever he wants to people. So it's just you have to want to see it. It's like I want to see it. And this is the thing.
Could it happen?
If Alex Pereira goes up and fights for that, he's the first person ever to potentially have 3 titles in three divisions. But like they're talking about it at the moment, and everyone wants to see it. So if the UFC doesn't do it, it's just silly because it's a fight that people want to see. I want to see it. I think though,
I'd order that, and I don't order pay-per-views for UFC usually, but I'd order that one.
It's hard because like sometimes they expect someone to clean out their division before they move up. But I think that usually applies. But I just think in this scenario where it's something so special, it's so hard to achieve that's never ever been done before, like they should probably just let him do it. Just because like no one else, when's the next person going to put himself in a position to be a champion in 3 weight divisions? It might not happen for another fucking 50 years.
Yeah, you take the opportunity. When it's
Take the opportunity while it's here, make the most of it. Like that'd be a massive fight. It'd probably be one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time.
Fuck.
One more question.
All the other questions I got. One guy goes, "Finally, bro, you guys are doing this." Something's about some guys asking, "Do you have any doctors that can prescribe testosterone? I need a prescription."
Yeah, bro, add this Wicker account.
He's the dude, WhatsApp. Just Google it, man. I got a lot of clients. Just Google it, and you can find one of those hormone labs, and they're pretty good.
There's enough of them in Australia now.
There's enough. Everyone's somehow writing it off on their tax.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's us. So that's us from the new studio, Barbell Bros. That was good.
Yeah, no, I actually feel a lot more comfortable having this.
This setup, it's
This
nice.
setup feels great. It feels very official. I love the cameras.
Yeah.
Be great. Yeah. So let's kick it off this year, man. Can't wait.
Let's do it. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a fucking phenomenal week.
Do you usually have an outro? What do you usually say?
Can't remember.
You usually just tell everyone to get fucked, don't you?
I'm not going to do that anymore. We're trying to be a bit more professional now. We're trying to be a bit more professional now. Yeah. Thank you for listening, motherfuckers and motherfuckers.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's a wrap.
Thanks, guys.